In this training video, we are going to look at an overview of the building management area within the CMS. So when you first log into the CMS, this is what it will look like. Some of the options over on the left-hand side you may not have access to, just depending on your permission levels. But to go and manage your buildings page, the first thing that you'll want to do is click on Building Management over here on the left-hand side. When you do that, you are brought to this page right here. Depending on how many buildings you have access to, is of course going to depend on what shows up on this page right here. If you just have access to one page, then only your school will show up. But to go in here and to manage your school's page, you can either click on the name of it, or you can go over here and click on Manage on the right-hand side. Once you do that here, the first thing that you are brought to is the building details area for your building. So you see right here, this has a picture of your school, the address, email, school hours. To go in here and edit this information, you just simply click on the edit button and it brings all of this information up, and you can go in here and change this. You also have the option to log into Facebook, so if your school has a Facebook page, you can go in here and connect to that Facebook page, and any news articles that you post, there's a share button that you can simply click and it will post to your school's Facebook page. So that's how you connect your school's Facebook page. Going back to the building details area, you can go in here and add additional phone numbers. Just be sure that the main phone number for your school is listed as administration, because this information right here, the address and the phone numbers, all of that pulls and shows in your school's footer on your school page. So that's where that information comes from. So make sure that your administration number is your main number, but you can go in here and add a number for attendance, any type of phone numbers that you want to add in there. You also have the option to go in here and add different departments. Most buildings just have one department, such as faculty or staff, but if you want to go in here and add one for science, English, you can go in here and do that. You also have the option to go in here and add building principals and assistant principals. You just simply click on Add Principal, go in here and search for that staff member's name. They have to be in the staff module within the CMS, so if they're not added there, they're not going to show up. But if they are added there, you can type their name in, click Go, and select their name, and then select what type of administrator they are. Building social links. You can go in here and add your school's Facebook page, Twitter, all of that good stuff. And then this social links are usually going to show up in your school's footer. Sometimes they show up in the header, just depending on what design you have picked. But you can go in here and move these around. It's just simply drag and drop. So if you want the CMS login to be the first thing, you can do that. You can also add social links. There's all kinds of different link types that we have set in here. If you want to add a Google Drive link, you can do that. You just put the URL in the title and then click on Save Social Link. So that is the building details area right there. Over here on the right hand side, this is building options. This is where you are going to go in here and control your pages and how all of that information on there shows up. So the first option here is building alerts. Building alerts are something that is going to drop down from the top when a user visits your page, and of course whatever you put in your alert is what's going to show up for that user. So you can go in here and look at active alerts, past alerts, and of course you can add an alert. So let's take a look at adding an alert. You go in here and set a title for that alert. You can also set a start date and time. You don't have to select a time. If you do not select a time, it automatically defaults to 12 a.m. You can also set an expiration date and time. That's the date and time that it will come off of your website. You can put your content in here, and then you go in here and select which building page you want that alert to show up on. You also have the option to select, do you want a dark or light bar, and it gives you a preview of what that bar looks like along with the message that you have entered right here. The send push notification to mobile apps, if your district has purchased the mobile app through us, anytime that you post an alert, you have the option to send a push notification out, and that's what that does right there. So that's building alerts. The next thing we're going to take a look at is building news. Building news is where you can go in here and add things such as maybe stuff that your clubs are doing, any kind of announcements. That information can be added right here. To add news, you just click on this Add New Article button right here. This is where you can go in here and add a title. You can put your news date. If you want to work on something the night before but don't want it to post until tomorrow, you have the option to do that. So news date is the date that it's going to post on the website. You also set an expire date. That's the date that it's going to come off the website automatically. Then you have the option to go in here and put a subheader in, which is sort of like a teaser, and you only can have 2,000 characters in here, so you might want to put like a brief introduction of what you're talking about here, and then under the news content area, that's where you put maybe the full details and all of that type of stuff. So if your school was maybe a distinguished school, you can say our school was rated as distinguished for this past school year, and then down here you can maybe tell what a distinguished school is, a breakdown of your test score results, those types of things. You can also go in here and put a feature video in here. These will pull from the video library within the CMS, so anything that you add there you can pull from right here. You also have the option to go in here and add a news image. And then down here towards the bottom, you'll go in here and select which school page you want this news article to post on. The URL slug title, this just kind of gives you a little bit of customization to your school, to this particular news article. You can see it gives us this URL right here. If I start typing something down here, it adds it on to the very end, and it gives me a little check mark saying that yes, that's available. It hasn't been used yet. So that's what that is. It just lets you make your news articles URLs a little more customizable. Then down here towards the bottom, you have the option to preview this article. You can simply save. Save and close, what that does is it saves this article and takes you back to the building news area. Or you can do save and add new. It saves this article and prompts you, brings you back to this page basically and lets you start working on another news article. If we go back to building news right here, if you have multiple articles, you have the option to drag and drop them. So if you want one to be up towards the top, you can drag and drop that and click on Save Order, and it will save that change for you. That Facebook that we were talking about, this is the share button that I was telling you about. Like I said, if you've linked your school's Facebook page to this and click on Share, it will automatically post this news article to your school's Facebook page. The next thing that we'll take a look at is building forms. Building forms and links works very similar. So they kind of go hand in hand. The first thing that you have to do is you have to add a category for building forms. And you see right here that this is a category, school supply list, and school calendar is also a supply list. Or is also a category, excuse me. The items underneath them are actual forms. So you can go in here and add a form category. It just asks you to put a name in. And then you can go in here and add a form to that category. So if we click on Add New Form, it just wants you to put a form name in. You do not have to put a description if you do not wish to. And then for File, if you click on Choose File, this brings up the School Point File Manager. You can go in here and click on Add Files, and when you do that, it basically pulls up that Browse screen where you can go in there and pull that file off of your desktop or My Documents, wherever it's at on your computer, and upload it in here. When you do that, when you upload a file, down here towards the bottom, it gives you a progress, and then it automatically closes this upload screen right here, this file manager, when it's been uploaded in here. So that's the way uploading a file works. If a file has already been uploaded and it's in your file manager and you just want to select it, you can go in here and look for it and simply click on it and click OK, and it's going to put that file name in right there. So if you don't have a file name in here, that means it either didn't upload correctly or it's not selected. But if you do have a file name right here, that means your file is in there correctly and it's going to work like it should. Going back to building forms here, you can go in here and drag and drop these categories as well. You can go in here and move these forms around if you want to as well, and of course you have the option to delete them, and you can also go in here and edit them if you need to put a new file in there or whatever the case may be. Building links works very similar. You have to put a category in here, just like you did for forms. And you see here that we have a staff links category and a computer labs links. And again, to add a new link, you just put in a URL and a title. You don't have to put in a description. The image, if you decide to put an image in here, it brings up the file manager again, and that basically sort of works like a button. So instead of showing the link title, it's going to show that image instead for people to click on. And again, these are drag and drop as well. You can sort those and put those in a different order if you need to. The next thing we'll take a look at is building events. This is what's going to show up on your calendar within your school's page. So you see right here that it will list any upcoming events right here. To add a new calendar event, you'll click on the Add button. This works sort of similar to a news article. You go in here and put a title in. You can go in here and select an event type, and if you have permission to do so, you can go over here and set up event type colors, and even locations if you have access to do that. So that's the event type area. Like I said, you can set up locations, or you can just simply input a location. The start date and time, that's the date that it's going to start. Obviously, you don't have to select a time. If you don't, it's automatically going to default for 12 a.m. You can go in here and say this is an all-day event, or you can say there's no end time for this event. So you can choose those options as well. If you want this to be a reoccurring event, you can select that and go in here and set up your reoccurring event details. You also have the option to put in contact information, so if somebody clicks on this event, it's going to show all of this information that we've already looked at, and it's going to show contact information, who they need to contact. You also have the option to put in information here, such as directions or things like that. Again, if they click on that event, that's what's going to show up for them. Down here towards the bottom, you select which building you want this to post on, and then you also have the option to upload a calendar attachment. So if you have a flyer or something associated with this event, you can upload that right there. And then down here, again, these work very similar to the news articles. You can save and add new, which saves this event and prompts you to add a new one, or you can do save and close, which is going to save this event and take you back to that event main screen. So if we go back here, the next thing we'll take a look at is photo galleries. You see that I already have one photo gallery in here. To add a new gallery, you just simply click on the button. You can go in here and put a title in. And then after you put a title, you can go in here and add images. So if you click on Choose Files, again, it brings up this file manager. You can go in here and select your files from here. So if I click on this and click on OK, it selects that file for me and it puts that file in there. You can also add a caption right here. If you want to add a caption for each individual picture, I suggest you keep this caption box blank, because if you put a caption in right here, it's going to apply that caption to every single picture that you're uploading. So if you want to add a caption for each one, simply keep this area blank. After you click on Save, it's going to add your gallery right here. Then you have the option to go in here and add additional images, or you can go in here and edit them. So if you want to add a caption for each different one, you just simply click on this pencil and put your caption in right there. You also have the option to rotate your images around in case one of them was upside down. You can rotate that image around right here. So that's how the photo galleries area works. Now let's take a look at the course offerings area. The course offerings area is something that some schools choose to utilize and some of them do not. If you think about it, it's sort of like an online curriculum guide that's sort of a little bit interactive. So the way that this works is you go in here and add a group. So your group title could be like Arts and Humanities, English, Science, Social Studies, basically that overall course subject. And then once you go in here, so you see that we have an English and Science group. So let's go in here and view this English group. Once you get in here, under the group, you can go in here and add courses underneath of it. So you can have Freshman English, AP English for seniors, English 3, all of those can be added under this group. So that's sort of the way it works. To go in here and add a course, you just simply click on Add New Course, and you put the title. You can go in here and add all kinds of different information if it's required, the grade levels, the course number, the content that's taught in this class. You can go in here and add all of this information in here. So you see that we had one course set up here, Freshman English. Go in here and take a look at it. It doesn't have all of this set up, but you can go in here and do that and link this out on your school website. So that's basically the way it works. Some schools use it, some schools don't. It's completely up to you, but it is an option if you want to use it. The next thing we'll take a look at is newsletters. Newsletters are just an area where you can go in and add. Maybe you do a newsletter every week, every 2 weeks, every month, whatever the case may be. Maybe you have a school newspaper. You want to add that here, you can. To add a new newsletter, you just click on Add a Newsletter. You'll want to make sure Is Active is checked so it actually shows up. You can go in here and put a title and subheader if you want to. You can go in here and select your posting dates. So today, the expiration date is the date that it's going to come off the website, of course. And then letter file, if you click on Choose File, again, this takes you back to the file manager here, and you can either click on Add Files to upload that from your computer, or if it's already uploaded in here, you just simply click on it, click on OK, and it puts that file in there for you. And with newsletters, you also have the option to drag and drop them around in any order. The next thing we'll take a look at is school achievement. So if you have a lot of, clubs, and if they participate in a lot of competitions, this might be a feature that you want to utilize, or any kind of school achievement for that matter. You can go in here and add a new achievement. So if we look at this, it asks for a title and content, so maybe a description of what kind of achievement it is, all about it. And then you can go in here and set a publish date and an expiration date as well. You also can upload files, so if you maybe have a letter or something like that and want to attach it, you can do that here as well. Let's go back to school achievement. And then all of your school achievements, you can go in here. They will all show up right here, and you can go in here and edit those or delete those or whatever the case may be. Let's take a look at lunch menus. Lunch menus is an area where you just basically can go in here and upload the lunch menu file. So you see to add a new lunch menu, it comes up right here at the top, and the existing ones are down here. But you can go in here and add a description. So maybe the description could be August 2016 lunch menu. You can set the start date for that lunch menu, so the first of the month, and the end date, the end of the month if you want. That menu file, again, if you click on Choose File, it's going to bring up this file manager, and you can go in here and add that file in there. Active menu means it's actually going to show up on the website. And then you have existing lunch menus down here as well. This food service page content, this is kind of going to show up towards when they click on the lunch menus link. This is kind of what's going to show up at the top. So maybe if you want to add lunch menu prices here, who the food service manager is in your building, and their contact information, that could all be good information that you can add, but that's just an example of some things that you can add to the food service page content area down here at the bottom. That is school lunch menus. Let's take a look at the principal's message. The principal's message, depending on how your site is set up, sometimes it shows up on the home page. Sometimes it will show a picture of your principal and it says click to read the principal's message. It just depends on whatever the case may be on how it's set up. But to add a new message, you can go in here and click on New Message, set the posting date, and you want to say that it's active because that's the one that's actually going to show up. The message subheader, this works very similar to the news article subheader. You can just put a brief bit of information right here if you want to, or you can put it all in message content. Some designs have a little bit in message subheader and the rest of the content under message content, and some designs have all of the content under message content. So it kind of depends on how your template is set up. Then you can go down here and click on Choose File. If there's an actual maybe paper copy of this principal's message, you can upload that as well. Down here towards the bottom, this shows all of the previous messages that have been set up for principals. So if you want to look at one that maybe was posted last year, you can do that. You can just simply go down here and find the correct one, click on edit, and it's going to bring that message up here, and you can make changes to it. And then if you want to repost that message, you can make your changes, redo this posting date, and select it to active, and then click on save down here towards the bottom, and it will save that for you. So that's how the principal's message works. Content pages is the next thing we'll look at. Content pages are basically just give you a blank slate to do whatever you want to on a page. So let's go in here and click on add a new content page to see what it looks like. The first thing I want to show you is that you can give other people in your building access to content pages, but you also have to go in the security module up here and give them an actual permission to access content pages. So if you don't have access to security, you probably won't see this add staff permissions area, or if you do, you can give somebody permission, but they still might not be able to access it. So you might have to ask your district tech coordinator for additional access, but that's an option here. So if you want to have 2 people that can collaborate on a page, it's an option here. The content title can be like the title of the page that you want to call it, and you can also put a subtitle in. This URL slug works very similar to the news articles URL slug. Again, it's going to give you this address /content/ and whatever you put in right here, it's going to add it to the end and gives you a little check mark over here to say, yep, that's good to go. That hasn't been put in use yet. Then, like I said, it's pretty much a blank slate is what a content page is. So you have this text editor that looks very similar to Microsoft Word options. You can go in here and add whatever you want there, so basic text if you want to. Then down here towards the bottom, you also have the option to add a photo in here. The other thing that comes along with content pages is the secondary content. Now you can choose to use this or you can choose not to. You see there is a hidden button here, and if you check that, it's going to hide it. Basically, secondary content, you have a couple of different options to pick from. You can choose secondary page content, which is basically this repeated up here, and you can see the secondary content is down here. So secondary content page is basically the same thing. A downloads area, if we click on save right here, and I need to put a title in, so we can put 2016 Halloween or something like that. If I click on save, what that does is it changes this area down here at the bottom. It changes that secondary content. Since it was this one and I changed it to downloads, it changed it, and it gives me that option to go in here and add a form category, and I can add forms underneath that category. That works very similar, just like the building forms up here, except it puts it on this exact page right here. So if you have something like a school-based council or a PTO organization, and you want to go in here and set up a page, put PTO at the top, what the PTO does, and maybe the members. And then if you all have like meetings or something, you can go in here and add a form category called meeting minutes or something like that, and you can add those minutes underneath that. And that's the way that works. You also have the option to go in here and change that secondary content to a photo gallery or a links area. And all of these work very similar. This works very similar to building forms. This works similar to building photo galleries, and of course like building links. So that's what it's all very similar to. You don't have to use it if you don't want to, but if you want to change this to a different area, if I want to make this a links, just make sure you click on save, and it's going to make this a links area down here. At any time, if you want to look at your content page to see what it looks like, you have a public link right here, and you can open that up and see what it looks like. Your secondary content is usually going to show up on the right hand side, so your main page content that you enter will usually show up in the middle, and then your either downloads or photo galleries or whatever you choose your secondary content, if you choose one at all, will show up over here on the right hand side. So that's the way that works, just to give you an idea of content pages. The next thing that we'll take a look at is navigation. Some schools have multiple navigations, some of them do not. It just depends on the design and the way your site is set up. You can see that this school right here only has one navigation. So if we click on this right here, this shows all the navigation. What we would be editing is what's under quick links over here. Again, this works very similar. You just drag and drop these around if you want them in a different order. If you want to change your links around, you can go in here and create submenus. So if I want to have a submenu, you can see how these are kind of set up. If I want to have a student's achievement and I want that to be a submenu under the principal's message, you just simply kind of click and drag it over to the right, and it puts it in there and creates a submenu for you. To add a new link to your navigation here, there's an add button down here at the bottom. If you click on add, that's telling me my changes. I don't want to save those changes. You can click on that add button, and this is where you can go in here and add that link title. You want it to show up under the left navigation, or you can also create a submenu here. So if I want this link I'm adding to be a submenu of school forms, I can have it do that. So you can do that here as well. And then you can go in here and put your link. If it's an outside link, I suggest that you just paste it right in there. If you're linking to something else within your school's website, I suggest you use this link to an existing content department or internal page, because this works really well. You click on that, you go in here and select your school, then you go in here and select what kind of page it is. So if it's my lunch menus, my newsletters page, if it's a content page, you can select that, and then if it has this little plus here, that means there's an additional step. So you see I selected content page. Well, now it's wanting me to select which content page I want to link. So there's that 2016 Halloween content page that I created. If I click on that, what that does is it automatically puts that link up there for me, and it's going to work. One thing to note about the link area, if you're linking to an internal page, you never want to put your whole URL in there, because if your URL changes and you have that set up in there, that might not work anymore. So if, let's say for google.com, if that's your domain name, you don't want to put google.com/ this right here. You just want to put that in there. That way, if your URL does change for whatever reason, all of your links and stuff will smoothly transition over to that new domain. So again, if you have something like that, like I said, if you're linking to an internal page, just use this tool down here. It works well. You know that it's done right, and you don't have to worry about that. Then down here towards the bottom, you can choose your link target. Do you want to open in the same window or a new window? And then you can add a button image in there as well if you want a graphic to show up for people to click on instead of the text. So again, that's how navigation works. And like I said, you can set up submenus here, and you can move those links around. Or if you need to change a link where it goes to, you can simply click on Edit and go in here and change that link. The next thing we'll take a look at is the header gallery. The header gallery is basically this big area right here on your school's homepage that rotates and shows pictures and that type of thing. So you can go in here and add them. Each school's header gallery has a different width and height to it usually. So just keep that in mind. It might look one way on here, but on your website it might be a little different. I normally recommend that you use the crop tool when you add images. That way it actually fits in that size. You can go in here and add an image, but if it's not these correct dimensions exactly, it can throw that page off. It can make that page distorted, that type of stuff. So unless you are using some external tool that gives you this exact width and height on your school's page, I do not suggest you use that. I suggest you use the crop tool instead. So let's take a look at how the crop tool works. You basically go in here and click on Choose File. Again, it brings up this file manager for you to use. To add pictures, you click on Add Files, select those from your computer, and it will upload them for you. I'm going to select an image that's already in here, this one right here, and click on OK. What that does is once you either uploaded it off your desktop or have selected it from the file manager, it brings it, and you see right here it gives us this area, and the area that's grayed out around it here is not going to be included. But it gives us this area. You can kind of move this up and down. You can make this smaller, bigger, and continue to move it around to wherever you want it to be. So if I want that to be my area right there, I can select that, click Next, and it gives me a preview of what that's going to look like. And if I don't like that, you can start over if you want. But that's what your picture looks like. You enter a caption right here. And then once you have your caption added, you simply select, you simply go down here and click on Save. If you want to post to additional header galleries within your district, if you have permission to do so, those will show up right here. So if you want to post this on your elementary page and the district page, if you have permission, that's an option. That's what this is for over here. But if you just want to post this on your school, put your caption in here and go down here and click on Save. I'll go back. Whoops, let me go back. I clicked on the wrong thing. Let me go back to our header gallery right here. Once you've added your pictures in here, you can go in here and move those around just like anything else. So if you want a different picture to be at the top, you can. You can also go in here and change that caption if you want to. And you can delete these images out of here. If you want to delete multiple ones, you can click on Delete Images and select the ones you want and come back up here and click on Delete Images. It saves you a little bit of time. So that's how the header gallery works. Featured content, some pages have featured content and some do not. You can see this does not have featured content. If your page does have featured content, it might have a couple of featured content areas. So you can go in there and edit those. It works very similar to a content page basically. So that's how that area works. Again, if your district has the mobile app purchased, you can go in here and click on the mobile app and customize your mobile app menu. Now, the way that the mobile app menu works for a school district is the school district, anything that they have set up will show up in the app first, and then the school's menus will show up underneath it. So you can go in here and add things to your mobile app menu that's specific to your school. To do that, you click on this plus button right here. You can go in here and select the type. So if you want it to be a web link, you can do that. It gives you this icon that you can go in here and change if you want to. But you simply add your title. You can add a subtitle if you want to and put that web link URL. If you're doing a content, now this content is different than a content page. Content right here is only going to show up in the app. It's not pulling from anywhere else. Off of your website. So you can set that up. Content page is actually going to pull from content pages that you've set up here. So you remember that Halloween content page that we set up? You can type Halloween in right here and you see that it found it. And if we select that, it selects it in green to let us know that it's been selected. And we can go in here and add a Halloween menu item to our mobile app menu for our school. And you can go in here and move these around if you want to as well. If you want to send a push notification, if you recall, the building alerts area allows you to send push notifications to users, but if you don't want to create a building alert to send a push notification to your parents or users using that app, you can go in here and just simply click on Send Push Notification. And what this allows you to do is, it allows you to go in here and select your school. This little area, this little numbers over here gives you an idea of your user count, and it's also over here as well. How many users are using your app and how many people may see this message. So that's what that's for. But you basically go in here and select your school, go in here and set an expire date and time, and then you enter a short message right here that will show on the push notification message, and you can see that you're limited to 140 characters right here. And then if you want to put a detailed message in here, you can do that right here. So if you maybe having parent-teacher conferences and you just want to send a push notification out, remind the parents, you can go in here and say something like parent-teacher conferences are being held tonight from 4 to 6, and then you can put more details down here about your parent-teacher conferences. So again, that's if you have the mobile app. You can send individual push notifications. This formality area, this is only going to show up if you've have purchase formality, and it's going to show your formality forms right here. I won't get into this. That's in a separate training section. So if you want to watch how formality works and it's integrated with the CMS, you have the option to do that as well. Also, under tools over here, I went back to the home page here because this is just some tools I want to show you. When you first log in, this is the page that comes up, of course. But under tools here, you have your file manager right here, video library. You can go in here and change your password from right here, update your staff profile. Some of these options you may or may not have. If you have the option to manage teacher web pages, that will show up right here. There is a ticketing tool that's in here as well. I won't go over that because that's not really part of building management, but that's also an option in here. Our CMS manual is right here as well if you need to use that. We also have a live chat button. That live chat button will show up down here in the corner whenever our support is in the office. So that will show up right here and you can use that. There's also a training and support link up here at the top. So if you click on that, it takes you to all of our training videos. And we have this broke down into all of the different sections here. So if you need to review something, but you don't want to review the whole training, you can go in here and click on this and view this video right here. And it just goes over that certain section. From here, you can also contact support as well to get in with our support team. If you have any questions or need anything, feel free to contact us either by email, user voice here, our chat, and we will be more than happy to help you in any way that we can. Thank you so much for watching this video and have a great day.